select the index before we can activate the installation.
Hey guys, welcome to my run-through of the library on Legendary. Kind of starts off, that guy I think was sleeping. But it starts off kind of slow at first. You didn't actually get to see any of these flood poppers, I guess is what I call them, in 343 Guilty Spark, so they are brand new. If you're new to Halo, they're basically walking grenades. So you can use that to your advantage as much as you'd like. But you also have to certainly watch out for them then too. If they're right next to you, they're going to explode, and they can kill you pretty easily. But they pop out a bunch of those little infection forms. In the library, growing up, 343 Guilty Spark was, like I had mentioned in the last video, just the first like really scary level that you played. So it introduced the flood, of course, and the scene was very, it just had a great tension in the atmosphere of the level. The library is probably even worse. It's nothing but flood, and it's just level after level after level. There's 4 total levels. Be careful with the poppers here. At this point, as you saw, there's a shotgun from one of the flood, and so you want to be careful that you don't blow up a popper and then make that shotgun go flying. The shotgun is really the primary weapon in this level. Shotgun, and for most of the level I end up doing shotgun pistol, but actually a variety of secondary weapons would be fine. It's just I really would recommend shotgun pretty much the whole way. The library here it's going to eventually seem like it's forever. Like I said, there's 4 levels to it, and that just makes the mission seem so long, especially when you haven't played it before. And again, I first played this when I was a kid. It just takes forever, and is really annoying, really scary, just so long. But it's actually not that long. The video itself, this video is under an hour, and that includes bloopers. So even though the gameplay itself seems like it's going to be... Oh, messed that up. I actually kind of saw that grenade right after I ended up making the popper try to blow me up. I saw it at the last second. I'm like, oh shoot. But this is kind of a wave that come out of here. I think they may be infinitely responding, so you'll want to be careful with that. Oh, and this isn't going to be the first time I run into the problem of no shields with those infection forms. They'll usually, each individual one, if it clings to you when you have no shield, will usually take about 2 or 3 bars of health as long as you're moving around. But of course, keep moving around, then you won't have to worry about that as much. I guess it's not infinitely responding. There are some sections that are infinitely responding, so you just got to be careful. You don't want to just be waiting there forever, thinking that that they're going to pass eventually. Sometimes they don't. So this level I really believe is probably designed for you to just basically keep running forward no matter what. But again, you'll want to make sure that that you don't have a ton of infection forms around. Always back up. Yep, always back up when there are poppers, because they're going to blow up some grenades. Yep, so I'm going to play it safe, head back here, and let him blow up. But you'll want to make sure there's not a massive amount of infection forms. It does pay in the long run to kill at least the majority of infection forms, if particularly you're trying to do like a no deaths run or something like this. So I'm obviously not doing that. At this point, you can check out the bloopers. At this point, I've probably already died, I think, at least twice, and both right at the beginning. The library is just one of those levels where there's really only, I feel like, two parts that are like really hard, with the rest for the most part manageable. And so you don't really have to worry about like individual difficult spots outside of the torture chamber is the second one. The first one, second one is in chronologically. It's actually the hardest in this level, in my opinion. But there's like a mini torture chamber that I'll point out before that. So I think it was this section that's infinitely responding until you get to the next like loading point. But I did have a ton of deaths in this, more than I even thought, while I was playing at the time. And a lot of them are just the flood overwhelm you at times. And it makes it kind of difficult. Okay, maybe not infinitely responding, or maybe so. But it's just like one death here, another death here. Torture chamber gives probably about, I think, 5 or 6 of my deaths. And then I do have like two or three other deaths right at the tail end. The tail end of the level isn't overly hard, but I ended up having 2 bars of health, and it is kind of hard to get through without taking damage, because there's just a lot of flood that are at a distance, that have like plasma rifles, plasma pistols, assault rifles, and so you'll be taking damage. Oh, get out of there! There we go. So just kind of move past it. This part. Again, I do believe these are infinitely respawning. I think one of those guys actually had a shotgun, so you could stick around for some ammo. But you do have to get to the next part before, you know, at some point you'll have to move on. There we go, there's a shotgun. So half this level is going to be basically shotgun camping around corners. So it does get repetitive. And I'd mentioned too that the library is, oh, yep, watch out. Don't want to have grenades blow up. Oh, wow. I don't know how he, I don't think he got too close to me, but I guess he did. He fell. But I did mention that this level was, at least growing up, way more scary than any other level. 343 Guilty Spark, again, of course, is pretty scary. But this one definitely is the champion of just intimidating, nerve-wracking, you know, make you sweat type of levels. But I've played every single one of these missions in the new graphics, and I really would recommend trying it, especially if you've never done Halo 1 before. Try it in the old graphics. Did a little 360 there. I don't remember what I was thinking in game. Just maybe checking if there's anybody behind me. But it makes the level way darker. There's almost no light. So some of these structures that I'm standing on will have light. There's light in front of that door. Yep, there we go. For a second there, I knew the monitor had to say something. I just had to walk up to him. But there's almost no light, which makes it even worse, because you basically have like alien zombies running after you in the dark. So it definitely takes a horror twist. But you don't have to worry about any enemies with this door. Other doors in the future, will have some enemies that you have to worry about. But if you've made it this far, your first health pack will be coming up here pretty soon.
Despite the containment protocols.
And you're just gonna really want to follow the monitor. Again, shotgun camping, and then use. Well, it wasn't really shotgun camping there, but use those poppers as grenades, kind of like I did there. And then always be careful. What I'm actually doing right here is kind of a bad move. I've basically backed myself into the corner. It wasn't like I was facing a ton of enemies. There'll be a point later on where you kind of see it, and I'll point it out. But you don't want to back yourself into a corner in this game, or in this level in particular, because again, those floods just overwhelm you with sheer numbers, and then those poppers can be pretty dangerous, especially if you're in a corner. They turn a corner, and you're back, and you've backed yourself into a corner, and all of a sudden, well, you're dead, because there's 3 or 4 dead flood that you've just killed, and they dropped grenades, and now everything just blew up. But you can move at a little faster pace than I am. This is actually my first run through of the library in like 6 months, so I can't quite remember where enemies dropped or when they do. As normal, I will put down Hokiebirds and Ackman's videos in the description. And I had watched them at some point, but not actually before I did this one. So this is about as close to a corner as I would recommend ever going. Mostly because I at least had some maneuvering room. So I almost died here, yet as you can see, 1 health. And they just don't seem to end. But finally. So there, like I said, there is a health pack that comes pretty soon here. It just takes a little while for you to get to it. By the way, those blue monitors, like TV monitors, when flood drop down from them, they're infinitely respawning, as long as you stay in the area. So like I'm in the other area now, that means they've stopped respawning. But if I were to go back, they're going to respawn again. So whenever you see blue monitors, basically what you're going to want to do, with some exception, of course, is basically run through it and then find a corner as quickly as you can. So obviously I didn't run through this one. I knew no enemies were going to be behind me, since I've moved on to that next area, and all of the flood aren't respawning anymore. So in that instance, I could take a head-on approach, but like 80% of those blue monitor situations, when there's flood dropping, you're going to want to be basically sprinting through it. Maybe throw a grenade at your feet, maybe just in such a way where you blow them up, or even just fire at them as you go. So there is the first health pack. Finally got it. Desperately needed. So by this point, I think I've died 3 times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And even with that run, I mean, I was at 1 health. So again, it's not like any of this part is overly hard. It's just that you can get overwhelmed pretty easily. And what kills you a lot of the times is if you lose your shields, which is kind of easy to do in this game, especially on Legendary. I mean, plasma pistols, plasma rifles can take your shields down in just a few shots. And the Flood, both Covenant and other levels, and then the Flood, of course, in this level, do have them. Once that happens, it's super easy for all those infection forms to take over and just slowly kill you. And those infection forms are definitely all over the place in this level. Well, one kind of thing that I'm curious about I don't know, maybe one. Tell me what you guys think. A potential kind of plot hole, quote unquote. So when you're dropped off in 343 Guilty Spark, the Foehammer tells you that Captain Keyes was last seen, or like radio transmission was last seen or last heard of in that area, but that was 12 hours ago. Oh, by the way, my radar behind me is starting to get kind of big, so there's probably something behind me that I'm not even realizing is there in game. There we go. Yep, it was those poppers, so they can sneak up to you pretty easily. So just be careful of that. So it was 12 hours that that you were behind Captain Keyes when you got to 343 Guilty Spark, and supposedly the Flood were released, I'm assuming around that time. And by the way, as I'm describing this, it's not like I'm not claiming to be an expert or anything. It's just kind of a question that I had. Maybe somebody out there knows. But it was 12 hours, so the Flood had been released potentially 12 hours before that. So they had 12 hours to basically get to start spreading around the Halo surface ring. And they seem to be absolutely all over this library. And you got teleported from 343 Guilty Spark. Here's another time where you're going to want to... Or, oh, no, you stick here. They're not dropping from the top of the monitors. But 12 hours and all of these infection forms and combat forms have basically, I'm assuming the library is pretty far from the ending where you were ending in 343 Guilty Spark. I'm assuming that's pretty far because you had to be teleported. So how on earth did that happen? Like, there is a massive amount of infection forms in this level, so I'm assuming, you know, most of the infection forms that you see were released. I don't know. Maybe they've reproduced. I'd like to actually even know how the infection forms reproduce. But either way, it just seems it seems kind of inconceivable that the slow-moving infection forms have basically spread throughout all of the rings in presumably a 12-hour span. But, you know, I don't know, maybe that's what makes them such a unique and interesting species, is just their rate of survival, rate of spreading is not even unimaginable. So a few poppers in that area there. You really, at this point, you really don't even have to take care of these infection forms. So it's not like you're fighting anything else for a hot minute here. As you can see on the radar, you got some sentinels following you.
Flood activity has caused a failure in a drone control.
This is the mini torture chamber. I think this ended up causing me 2 or 3 deaths. So it's a mini torture chamber in that it's not as hard as the torture chamber, and it's also also have way more maneuverability. Plus, you got some sentinels helping you, so it's not as difficult as the torture chamber, but it's certainly pretty tough. But on this run, like I said, this was like my 3rd go at it. I had several deaths. As long as you keep moving around, probably utilize grenades a little bit more than I do. Especially those chain explosions can help you out. But definitely, like I said before, if your shields go down like mine did, do not stop moving, no matter what. There we go. I think at least 3/4 of my deaths in this level came because of an infection form, ultimately. I mean, obviously the combat forms take out my shields, but like the final thing that hits me that determines my death is like an infection form. So I definitely did a really bad job of, using those popper forms as grenades at this section. They're a lot slower than the combat forms, so you can kind of figure out timing to be what you needed. If the combat forms are a little bit behind, wait for them to run up. There we go. There is a shotgun there. I got full pistol ammo, full shotgun ammo, and we're ready to move forward. Another shotgun. Another set that come out here. Again, that one's a little bit better. It would have been nicer actually for me to wait a little bit. Maybe actually fired one shot, waited, and then let these combat forms start to run out. Because I got rid of all the poppers in like one combat form, and now I'm having to waste a ton of my ammo on these combat forms. So again, not the best execution, but again, if you were to do this level 4 or 5 times, that's something that would definitely come pretty natural for me. The other kind of downside to this level is it is a little bit harder to judge like where you're at. So it all seems like it's the same environment. There's not much variability in what the environment looks like. So I'm constantly kind of thinking, what was next? I know there's, for example, like a rocket launcher at some point in the near future. But where was that? I couldn't quite remember certain things like that. I don't remember if there was a rocket launcher here or not that I killed before he could shoot it off, but there's rocket launchers at least later on in this level too. But at this door, you don't really have to worry about much. You just get a bunch of infection forms that'll drop down, and just beat them down, and you should be free to move forward. So that's about where they'll drop down. So in a minute here, I'm going to just walk over there and wait for them to drop. There they are on the radar. That's another thing. It's kind of silly, and I'm not being 100% serious when I say this, but that looked like a pretty big fall. Why do we get fall damage, but infection forms don't? I mean, infection forms basically look like they're either balls of air or balls of like fluid. A balloon dropping from that height would probably make it pop. So come on. There we go. Because even the popping of infection forms can make other infection forms pop. So if they're that fragile, like you think falling 50 feet in the air would make them pop, but guess not. Go. Yeah, definitely some of the higher priority flood would be any flood with a shotgun. I actually, instead of going for headshots, I try to, and my aim again is not great in this game, like to be able to pinpoint precisely where you want to shoot, but I try to actually shoot around the chest level in hopes that I end up shooting some of their arms. Because if you can shoot either their like claw arm or their arm with a weapon, such as like a plasma rifle, plasma pistol, shotgun, whatever, then they're of absolutely no threat. So I actually knew that there was some poppers around the corner. I guess I just popped my head out too fast and didn't retreat quick enough, but oh well, whatever. I didn't lose any health, so can't really complain there. So there's actually nothing that pops out over here. You'll go through some of these tunnels fairly regularly through this level, but some of the early ones don't have as much flood that pop out. So you will get a lot. Another grenade, yeah. Grenades would be helpful at this point. Like I said, there's a lot of the combat forms that appear. And of course, just be careful of any poppers. He thinks he's trying to sneak up on me or something. And then all the combat forms should drop down. What's left on the radar is a lot of the infection forms, and then of course always be aware of those poppers. So the combat forms, pretty much no matter what, if they hear you, if they see you, they're gonna hunt you down. But those poppers, they're little shy guys. So they will hide behind structures, they'll hide around corners. There's a degree of intelligence to that that they have that's a little different from the combat forms. So there's a shotgun flood there. Someone around the corner. Let anyone who lived follow me, take care of them. And then as you can see down the hall there, there's a ton of those. So kill like the middle one. Ooh, that gun kind of scared me. But if you kill like the middle one, you should be able to kill most of them. And then here we go. It's moments like these that are the moments that actually kind of like can kill you. So there was like no major threats there, but my shield was down, and there was 40 infection forms and 5 poppers that were all like right around me. Recipe for disaster. But in that case, I made it out. The guy on the right has the rocket launcher, and the guy on the left, I think, has like a shotgun or something like that. But definitely be aware that at the end of the hall, at this point, there's that rocket launcher. So I don't use... Oh, I think I had him backward maybe then. Well, one of them has a rocket launcher. Shoot them before they shoot you. Or if they do shoot you, it's usually pretty easy to sidestep if they're far away. Definitely don't let them get close. But right here, round the corner and wait with your shotgun. Like I said, a lot of shotgun camping. Brought me a fresh shotgun as well. There we go, another checkpoint. So to the right, that will be infinitely respawning flood combat forms with plasma pistols and plasma rifles. So I try to take this section kind of slow because you got those plasma rifle, plasma pistol flood appearing. There's a bunch of poppers, and then further down the hall, there's actually more flood that'll drop down from the blue monitors, and I've always had trouble with that, like running through it, because they have all basically eventually catch you, and it's just really hard to do. But as you can see, I still left a ton of enemies and just eventually sprinted through. I do take the high ground on a lot of these, a lot of those areas, just so I can see what's coming. There we go. Definitely trying to hit those poppers. But yeah, whenever you can, like I said, use that little platform that's right in front of me there to just see what's coming. The combat forms need to jump, and their jump animation makes them a little bit slower. Like they can't, like you can see them coming a little bit quicker when they're in their jump animation. Then it takes time for like the infection forms, and the poppers can't get up there. That's one of the biggest things you can avoid. But there's some enemies that drop down, combat forms, as you can see. I just skip them. They can jump up on the elevator, so just be aware of that. I have had it where one of them would jump. I was kind of just leaning on the edge one time playing it, I remember years ago, and they can jump up and smack you. Okay, so that's the second time you've used the elevator. So that means you're on floor number 3. There's 4 total. I believe the torture chamber is on the 3rd one here. Should be coming up in about 10 minutes of gameplay. I remember editing this video and constantly just thinking, like, oh yeah, at the 41-minute mark is where I have to go back. So I had to take out, like I said, 5 or 6 deaths on the torture chamber. There's a health pack that you could, that on the top of that structure. I didn't need it at this point. Kind of a rare moment. I usually always need a health pack, no matter what, when they offer them. Down at the end of the hallway there's a bunch of combat forms. They have good vision. I don't know how, but that combat form saw me from all the way back here. And that's another thing that I've always kind of wondered. So these combat forms, I assume their senses are actually kind of bad. Like they don't have good eyesight as like a regular human or elite, or sense of smell. I don't know how they sense you. I'm sure it's in some different way. Maybe vibrations or something. If you think of like these infection forms, they got a lot of tentacles that touch the ground, so maybe they, you know, try to feel vibrations or something. Who knows? Yep, watch out around almost every one of these corners when you're going through these tunnels is something that you got to be looking out for. Usually these poppers. So as you can also see, I'm running out of pistol ammo here. Shotgun pistol is probably the best combination. Oh, sentinels. So sentinels can kind of distract any of the flood that's coming up. So I can make an easy entrance. But you do want to try to save as many of your sentinels as you can. I don't think they follow you at this point. They usually just kind of stick back and do nothing. It'd be nice if they could follow you, but yeah, eventually you can just move forward. The sentinels do... I feel like the sentinels are a little bit more useful in this game than the marines, particularly in terms of like just wiping out enemies. Their sentinel beams aren't overpowered or anything like that, but they do slowly take out the enemy. And if you got like 5 or 6 of them, you know, those sentinel beams all firing on, you know, maybe the same enemy could wipe them out pretty quick. So I am using, I've mentioned in previous videos that I tend to save the ammo of the most useful and primary weapon, which in this case is the shotgun, but didn't mean to do that. But the pistol is also pretty valuable. Oh, here was another death. The first flood that comes out is a rocket launcher flood, so just be aware of that. Yep, right there, as you saw, that's where the checkpoint was. Like I said, I did die from that rocket launcher. You want to take them out. I usually, or I'd recommend throwing a grenade basically once you see something on the radar. Even if that grenade only takes out one flood. Again, it's a flood with a rocket launcher. It takes one rocket to hit you and kill you. So it's well worth the investment. So I am waiting for these poppers to come closer in hopes that there's like pistol ammo or something like that. So I think one of these Flood do have a pistol. There we go. So I'm gonna, here's an annoying part. I'm gonna pick up my old pistol. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna get the ammo for it right here. Yep, gonna get it. I had some ammo for it. I guess not. I don't know what happened there, but whatever. You do also, as I just did there, make sure you check pretty much every corner. Those poppers will camp in those corners, and obviously if you, it's not like they appear in random corners, it'll be the same corners, but if you don't know which corners they're in, you're going to need to check pretty much every corner, because they will not be on the motion tracker, but they will start following you, and if you're not paying attention, they'll blow you up, just as if they were a grenade. And so some of their pieces of flesh, this is going to kind of sound gross, but it's hard to differentiate some of their pieces of flesh with frag grenades. That's one thing that I will say is a little bit like more realistic with the anniversary graphics than with the first original graphics. So that didn't work. I actually specifically tried to aim at that Flood combat form in such a way where I was shooting him, and if I actually missed, I would hit the popper behind him. But I guess I didn't hit the popper once. So I was kind of hoping to kill two birds with one stone, but I guess that's not going to happen. Oops, he fell. Yep, just, like I said, constantly check your radar. In this level, it seems to be a never-ending wave of Flood. Everywhere, all the time. Nothing you can do about it either. So one of the things that makes like 343 Guilty Spark and the library a little bit more nerve-wracking than other levels as well is you just get a sense of loneliness. I mean, in this level, I guess you're kind of following the monitor, which makes it a little less lonesome. But you don't have Cortana, and so you're just facing this new enemy, zombie enemy that wants to eventually eat you, and you don't even have your AI friend. So the torture chamber is coming up here pretty quick, and I actually died once. The road to the torture chamber, which is like right here on forward, is actually a little tough. So you gotta play the area before the torture chamber really well. It's a lot of drop down Flood. As you can see there, I had to revert to checkpoint. So I do play this one a little differently. I let some of them come to me and kind of waited. They are still infinitely responding, but I kind of waited for a round, and then rushed through. There's those guys, and then there's also enemies that will spawn in this section too. So that's like the first back-to-back, those blue TV monitors section that you just have to sprint through both of them basically, and then once you go in there, that's the torture chamber. So obviously I skipped a lot of it. You could stay back and fight enemies, and obviously now the enemies are finally catching up, but I skipped a lot of it just because you do not want to go into the torture chamber at half health or something like that. You want to be in there in full health. There is a health pack in the torture chamber, but unless you just skip it, and it is skippable, you're going to need that health pack. It's just too tough. So here's the torture chamber. You don't have a whole lot of movement. If you want to skip it, basically just hide in this corner and don't fire, don't pop your head out. But I am not going to skip it. I'm going to go through the torture chamber here, even if it takes 5 or 6 tries. I usually do throw a grenade right away. Only killed 2 out of the 3, so that's not ideal. But they will be, enemies will be dropping down from both, and just constantly dropping down from both of those little dropping things. And as you can well imagine, there's those flood that are moving around. Thank you for helping me out. I got an assault rifle flood. Yep, one is attached to me. You got to keep moving. I avoided that one eating me. Gotta survive. No, and I'm like, die. So, at any point, if you stay, even if you stay back here, they won't respawn. So inadvertently, just trying to kill these infection forms, I think about half the amount of enemies showed up. Simply because if you keep popping your head around that corner, then they keep coming. But I spent like a good 20, 30 seconds just trying to kill those infection forms. So I inadvertently actually slowed them down, but hey, it was all trying to do it legitimately, but I was just trying to survive. So if you survive the torture chamber, there's no combat form there, so I don't have to worry about saving any combat forms. Hello. Or saving any sentinels, sorry. I'm at this point now just looking for grenades because I have none. Yep, there we go. Picked up 2 frags. And the health pack. Yes, I went through. And I'm trying to see if I could pick up any grenades that they might have dropped. But I used every single one of my grenades, and I would have loved to have way more. But that, for the rest of the, what is he doing? Is he just checking out that flood form or what? But anyway, running out of grenades wasn't a problem from here on out. Oh yes, I remembered this part, but just a little too late. So don't actually go fast like I did. There's, as you could tell, there's a ton of flood. I have a grenade ready. You should be good to go. I don't know how I managed to get out of that. I was pretty surprised in person. But I managed to get out of that with almost no damage to even my shield. So last level, or last floor, I should say. You're not completely out of the tough parts yet. I mean, the torture chamber and the mini chamber are the by far 2 hardest parts, but I still did have, I think, 2 or 3 deaths on the 4th floor. Again, not like it's a tough, and there's no like individually tough spots, but a lot of the times it's just those infection forms that get you when your shields are down, or hoppers that'll blow up or something like that. But yeah, you do, like I said, have to worry about a variety of different ways that you're going to die. Flood overwhelming you with sheer numbers, and brute force with like rocket launchers or shotguns. The fortunate thing is, it's probably the best weapon combination that there's a lot of ammo for. Shotgun and pistol is definitely what I would have gone with right away. Even if I had no clue what weapons were available in this level, I'd say shotgun for one. Definitely need something close quarters, and shotgun is by far the best weapon close quarters. And then like a mid to long distance weapon that would take out flood relatively easily. Pistol would be the best bet for that. Rocket launcher might be the next best, and that is certainly a viable way to go. There is rocket launchers, of course, that are available. There's just not a ton of ammo for it, so I don't know. I might go shotgun, rocket launcher. if I knew there was, 3 times as many rocket launchers that are available to kill and then pick up. That's just not the case, unfortunately, in this level. And then you've already seen one, but there was 2 different points where I was low on pistol ammo. So again, I wouldn't risk doing the rocket launcher just for the other, not even just for the fact that there's not much ammo for it, but then when you run out of ammo and you want your pistol back, it may take a little bit of time to get it back. There's certainly plenty of pistols available, but not like a ton all the time. So you could be running without a pistol for a while. If you're not familiar with the library, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, this is another torture chamber. Don't worry, this one is not nearly as difficult. As you can see, I've not even taken half damage on my shields, and it's basically about done. Just of course, don't get hit by a shotgun or something like that. And they do jump, that one just did. They do jump out of the doors, so just got to be aware of that. Another health pack that I just walked over that I didn't get. I end up getting down to like 1 bar of health. It would have been really nice to go back and get that health back. I don't do it in this video, but it would have been probably nice to do, to like fast forward, go back and get it and then just fast forward it through the video. There's another health pack down there. So 2 health packs, and it's not even a tough area. But just kind of keep that in mind. Again, none of these sections, well, I do die here. None of these sections are overly hard, but of course you just gotta be aware of what's coming around the corner. So there's a human flood right there that I didn't kill, and he had a shotgun. And I realized it, I did not at all realize it in gameplay, and only realized it when I was going through the video. And I gotta be careful here. Yep, this is where I went down to 1 health. I somehow survived, but this is basically the last part of the level. Man, now doing the audio through this, it wouldn't have even been much of a hassle to go back anyway. Like, it's maybe a 15-second walk. But I was going to press forward. I knew, in gameplay, oh, this door. This is the end. This is the final run. So you can end up going, once you get closer to that door, there is a bunch of flood, so A, you got to be worried about that. But once you go out the door, there, it's open. And once you kill all these guys, and there's going to be a ton of them, so just shotgun camp, it's not hard. You can either go left, the quick way, but there's a ton of flood. I end up going to the right, and once I kill all these guys, it'll make a little bit more sense if you don't already know this level. But the right way is the long way, but it's, of course, avoids all spawn floods, outside of like right at the beginning. So after you've killed all of the combat forms, definitely just make sure all the infection forms are gone. There's 2 flood up there, one with a plasma pistol, and then the other one I think always has an assault rifle, but you can't really see him. Then there's also flood. There's a platform to the left that I can't see, kind of where I'm aiming here. Yep, make sure you get him, especially if you're at 1 bar of health like I am. And then the moment, yep, there's the other one. The moment that you step out past that door, just run. Be ready to, well, yeah, make sure you kill all these guys. But be ready to throw grenades, have your pistol out, because it'll be a lot of long-range enemies. I got my shotgun out just in case anybody pops out in front of my face. But I'll be switching to the pistol, yep, pretty quickly. You really only need to care about the Flood that have weapons. So I'm trying to get the plasma pistol, plasma rifle, assault rifle, and then they're slow to follow you, as you can tell. You're in the home free. Ooh, there's a shotgun. So just keep going. It's not too much terribly farther. It's just a little time consuming. Again, this was the long way that didn't have any flood spawns. If you were to go left instead, once you headed out that door, good luck to you. It's short, but there's a ton of flood. And congratulations, you have beaten the library.
The energy barrier surrounding the index will deactivate when we reach the ground floor. You may now retrieve the index. Protocol requires that I take possession of the index for transport. Your organic form renders you vulnerable to infection. The index must not fall into the hands of the Flood before we reach the control room and activate the installation. The Flood is spreading. We must hurry.
There's a nice looking screenshot. So like I said, I died several times throughout it, at least twice at the beginning. Here's where you get into the circular ring. I'm just kind of getting, I popped out fast, and I'm just basically getting overwhelmed. And yep, there's where I got my screenshot. So it blew up. This is actually still a little further on. Everything looks fine. Oh, this is the mini torture chamber. I'm still at full health. My shields are pretty low, but nothing crazy. All of a sudden, something hit me, and oh, I got shotgunned. So, yeah, you could die pretty quick. Here's where I get hit with a rocket launcher, so that's always fun. I forgot it was right around the corner here. So I knew there was something, and then oh, that was pretty quick. Here's kind of another random death, but oh, go. But of course, like I said, they can add up. I'm basically in a corner, and had a lot of things hunting me down. I should have just stayed in that corner, but I didn't. This is this is a little different spot, I think. But I'm just trying to basically go. I'm trying to beat them around the corner. And ooh, just couldn't do it. Low on health. I mean, it can be pretty easy to die when you're low on health. So here's bloopers only from the torture chamber. It took me several attempts. As you could tell, the start of this little clip, I had full shields, half health, full shields. I don't know what I was doing there. I thought maybe I was thinking that he was dead because I shotgunned him, and then didn't kill him, but it was the infection forms that got me. Yep, he got my leg. Here's another one. This is actually at the very beginning of the torture chamber. Boy, I hadn't even fired, and they normally don't go after you if you haven't fired, but more infection forms got me. Well, low shields, you're screwed. An infection form is getting me. Another one, I think that just went through my screen, is getting me. Survive. Waiting for those shields. Waiting. Come on. Oh, one shot from the assault rifle I thought I was going to make it at that point, because there's only one enemy left. Oh boy, here we go. No shields. Blood infection forms slowly killing me. And then I stopped enough right there for an infection form to get me. So made it through the torture chamber, so that's good. This is all deaths after the torture chamber. So this was what I was talking about when you got to be careful about backing yourself into a corner. Yes, now I got a whole bunch of popper forms and I'm going to blow myself up using a popper form. So here's where at the tail end where I have 1 health. Didn't kill that guy. I forgot he was up there. But I'm home free. I got my pistol out. I'm gonna kill anything with a gun. Oh, and it killed me so fast that I couldn't even fire back at him. So here's finally the last blooper. Last death. Right at the tail end. Still got 1 health. Oh boy. Oh boy. What did I do is what I was thinking. I think I might have put these in out of order. I think this death actually came first. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. The library is definitely a tough mission. Even tougher if it's dark, if you have the old school graphics. 2 Betrayals is up next. We'll see you then.